Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much for being here. My name is Chris Vasquez, and I will serve as the lead panelist for today's conversation on navigating the storm, crisis oversight for board directors and executives. One of the things that I'll start with is just crises don't just happen to the executive team of the board, of the company. Really, the board is very engaged in that, and it really tests your clarity of what your organization is doing, and it tests your courage and your preparedness as a board member. With insight from directors and advisors who've been in the thick of real-time crises, we'll explore that work. We'll explore what boards do right, where we kind of stumble a little bit as board members, and talk a little bit about public and private boards. What does real crisis readiness look like in the boardroom, and what are some signs that as board members we miss?
Of course, and I'll actually list what I believe the top 5 or 6 crisis actions might be, or scenarios. And I would categorize these as low probability, but incredibly high impact. So number 1, that you can all relate to watching the news cycle: loss of a leader. The loss of the CEO at United Healthcare, the stock has not recovered, down over 20%. Reputationally, loss of Elon Musk at Tesla. Quarterly report just came out, down 70%. 2, a natural disaster. No one saw Asheville, North Carolina this past year. No one saw the wildfires. This is now consistently 3 to 5 major natural disasters events with the loss of personnel and or infrastructure. 3, terrorism. If you're watching the news cycle 48 hours ago, this is the 9th major terrorist attack in 13 months. 26 tourists were gunned down in India near the border of Pakistan. 4, conflict war zones, whether it's the Middle East, Syria, Iraq, what's happening in Gaza, Israel, or soon to be what potentially could happen in Iran. Conflict war zones, let alone Ukraine and Russia, all of these have enduring factors. And frankly, corporate America was completely taken by surprise when Russia rolled tanks into Ukraine. 5, geopolitics, geoeconomics. As you think about the pressure of supply chain right now, coming out of COVID, slightly kind of regaining the advantage, getting global supply chains up and running again. First major disruption is the closure of the Red Sea because of the Houthis in Yemen, and now the beginning of the tariff negotiation and the tariff war. All of these things are putting material pressure on global company supply chain. To summarize, those low probability, very high impact events are the things that I believe, as described, boards should be thinking about now, why it's calm and quiet, if you will, so that they are not surprised when these major events occur. Some of them are operating in real time. Some of them will occur. It's April. In the next 8 months, with 100% certainty, there will be natural disasters both globally and in the United States. With 100% certainty, there will be more conflict and more war. With 100% conflict, there will be additional geopolitical, geoeconomic surprises. That is the framework, I believe, and the baseline of what boards should be thinking about.
In just building on Dale, who've pointed out there, is a really important factor here is for all boards and executives to actually be aware of what insurance is in place, and actually don't just review these things when it's coming up to renewal cycle, but it's constantly understanding what is insured and then seeing what the emerging sort of risk landscape or threat levels are, and then working with that insurance and finding the gaps in coverage, and then working with a broker to find out what gaps can be filled and creating a full tailor-made insurance policy, but then working with the crisis response element as well to build that into the policy. Now, with the way that the world is going, we're aligning ourselves with underwriters that are also partnered with a crisis responder to ensure that if any of these events ever do happen, that there's that risk mitigation in there as well. And then also the benefit of using that crisis responder to help navigate any of these events that could or hopefully should never unfold. But if they do, then there's the right playbook to be used.